Howdy everyone, Sarcy here, and today we're going to be looking at Woodle 2 Deluxe on Switch. So I'll make a quick mention that I actually played a little bit of the first game through the demo, just a very tiny bit, and I didn't make it that far because the game just didn't feel that comfortable to me, especially with the camera. However, with Woodle 2, I've been having a much better experience to say the least. But anyway, as you can guess, Woodle 2 Deluxe is an open world 3D platformer and the sequel to Woodle Tree Adventure, where you play as Woodle and restore balance to the Force. Just kidding, but you do basically go around being the hero of Mother Nature. Of course, I'll also mention that while the first game was available on multiple platforms, Woodle 2 is available exclusively on Nintendo Switch. That having been said, let's get started. You start off with a standard set of abilities. You've got the standard running with the ability to dash forward, which while I'm talking about, I'll mention the cool thing that if you jump while dashing, you'll do a roll when you land. It doesn't really change anything, but it's a nice detail. You can also double jump, later upgradable to a triple jump, and you've got your basic attack that can be held down to do a fling sort of attack as well. You can also lift your leaf above your head, which will let you collect water and throw it, which will be necessary for some puzzles. You can even use it to glide through the air and fall at a slower speed. Of course, you'll be able to upgrade and purchase more abilities when you acquire more berries that will be spendable at various stands, so I guess you could say that there are RPG elements to this game as well. Along with abilities, you can also purchase cosmetic items like costumes and masks with standard red berries, so you've got some pretty good customization options as well. As for your currency, I should mention there are two kinds of berries that act as it. The red ones that respawn eventually and are for cosmetic purchases, and the blueberries that there are a limited amount of that you can try to collect them all and spend them on actual abilities. When you collect them all, you'll unlock the blueberry suit. Other than that, there are collectible items that you can find around the world. Moving on to the actual platforming of the game, it starts out simple enough, running and jumping on the ledges and such as with any platformer. Of course, as you progress, there will be more to it, such as moving platforms and areas that will even have hazards around them, as well as enemies, but everything has a nice pace to it that moves just right without becoming too difficult too quickly. And the cool thing that I'd like to remind you of, it's open world. Of course, at the beginning there'll be some areas that will be blocked off to you during the tutorial, but as soon as you progress through that and collect the first few teardrops, they'll be opened right up to you, giving you the capability to go about things in any order you want. You can also pause and access the map, which will allow you to select any checkpoints you've hit and teleport to them, which can be very useful and save you a lot of time, especially when platforming on the areas that involve climbing up high where you can end up falling. Let's move on to combat. I already mentioned that the combat is pretty much the standard. When it comes to your health, that is represented by the size of your leaf. Your leaf by default will be large, but when you get hit, it will shrink to a small size. Avoid getting hit for a few seconds and it will return to regular size. Get hit again, however, and you'll die and be brought back to a checkpoint. There's various amounts of enemies, starting off with pretty much incompetent ones that you pretty much have to be trying to get hurt on purpose in order to get hit by them. But eventually you'll encounter ones who will actively chase you, and their health will increase too, requiring a few more hits to take them out. When defeated, they'll drop 1 or 2 red berries. A feature I should mention real quick is local multiplayer. You can play with up to 4 players on one system. There isn't much that I can think of that I had a problem with, but there was one thing that kind of bothered me. When it comes to the music, I think it's great and all, but the problem is that there are plenty of areas that have no music. You'll have it where you're just walking in dead silence, and then all of a sudden music will start only to stop when you walk somewhere else that triggers the music to stop. Given that this is an open world game, it gets a little uncomfortable being in a massive open area with nothing but the sound of your shuffling footsteps. There are some areas that have no music but have a little bit of ambient noise, such as birds chirping, but compared to how loud you are versus how loud the ambience is, it's still a little bothersome to me. The game runs rather smoothly. There are occasionally some very minor frame drops, nothing too bothersome. Other than that, I don't really have any complaints. In fact, there's actually a few things that I would like to mention that I like. There's a fair amount of minor details that were unnecessary but are still things I can appreciate. Besides that rolling I mentioned earlier while dash jumping, there's another neat detail wherein if you just stand there idly for a while, you'll sit down, which reminds me of Super Mario 64. But as for my end statement, for a budget indie game sitting at $13, You've got a 3D open world platformer with a huge world to explore, a good amount of customization, and the bonus of local multiplayer. I'll say that when it comes to value, I might put this near the top when it comes to indie games on Switch, at least ones that I've played. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you want this game yourself, it is available on the eShop for $13. I'd like to thank Chubby for sending me the review key. This is WarSarcy on the Game Clips channel, and I'm out.